Okay, Putin moves south again. Struggle for the Eurasian heartland. A Joseph Miranda game. World at War. I'm sorry, Modern War, number 37. I was thinking World at War for some reason. Modern War magazine from Decision Games, obviously. This is from what is now last year, 2018. All right, I have moved on, advanced in my making preparations to play this face-to-face. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to this in face-to-face play in the near future. Actually, should be near enough in the future that I'll just go ahead and continue soloing this up until I play that face-to-face. That's the plan now. Things could definitely change. What I want to do is I want to do some general skimming and highlight. I'll call it highlighting the rules, highlights from the rules, highlights of the rules. But I do want to correct something from the last video. Not correct something. Add on to. So from the last video, I understand at this point that the attacker stalled. Which again, you get the smallest, really most vague, not vague. It's just short, very short. Not attack stalled, AS result on the combat results table, which is what I had last time. Nothing happens to or with either side's involved force. That's it. I can't find anything else yet. I'm still looking around. So I interpreted it. First of all, I didn't know. Does that mean that everything goes away? In other words, you recycle your SF, your air goes to your reinforcements. I guess nothing would happen to the ground force because you don't actually move into your battle hex or target hex. But then something, I don't know, my thinking changed. I thought, oh, attack stalled. Let me think of attack stalled in real world terms and say that actually the forces never got going and never got going with respect to the attack itself. And so that's how I'm playing it right now. So what I did is I put the SF and the air units back into their respective staging areas, meaning that they are still perfectly available after this attack is over. But I said that was no I don't know what words I used, but I wanted to make sure that it's not. There is a cost. There is the action points you spent. And so the way that I'm seeing this happen, first of all, you can have an attack stalled as one of your results all the way up to 3-1. So 3-1 column, attacker to defender, odds on the CRT, you can still get an attack stalled result. That's a roll of a 6. And my point with the design here is that you have so many, which is why I'm really looking forward to playing this face-to-face, is that you're going to have I am going to have the hidden selection of the assets in battle that result in the column shifts. So you may think you've set up a maximum 7-1 column shift battle, or 7-1 column battle, and let's say you have a unit around every single hex. So all 6 adjacent hexes, you have an attacker. You're on 7-1 columns. Well, it's really not that hard for you to wind up dropping 4 columns. So you go down 6-1, 5-1, 4-1, 3-1, and then you roll a 6, and you wind up with an attacker stalled. And my point there being that you will have paid 6 action points to conduct that 6-unit attack, and you basically lost all 6 action points. Now, if you're talking an average, if you have a pool, if you have an average action point, from what I've seen so far, an average action point pool of 12, a dozen, you just lost half of your action point pool, half of it. Now, all of that's possible, not likely, but possible. So that's how I see all that happening. Pretty interesting, pretty dramatic. But yeah, the attack stalled still as far as I can tell, it still costs your action points, which is not no cost to you. All right, let's talk about again, highlights from the rules, because I never did, even on my own time, go through the rules straight through, cover to cover. And again, I'm just going to do highlights. The mobile, I actually found the word mobile. I thought there was no reference to mobile in the rules at all. It's very confusing because rule section 2-3 or 2.3 mentions mobile ground combat units, and then I don't see it mentioned again. When I see it mentioned again, like in another rule section, like unit types 2.9, you have regular units, also known as ground combat units, but yeah, I don't see mobile again. But anyways, so mobile does show up. It's not the rules aren't to the highest level of editing and cleanup. But there is mobile ground units, so that's your quote-unquote normal units. That's all these units on the map normally, minus your garrison units, which are easy to tell because it's that very, very clear garrison unit symbol there. Let's see, hyperwar units. Like these ones with a plus, 6 plus, 4 plus, that's a hyperwar unit. So 4 plus, JTF Marine Corps there is hyperwar unit. Facing it, the OGEA, the Operational Group Eurasia, that's OGEA there, Russian Combined Arms Corps, is a combat strength of 4, but not hyperwar. So hyperwar they do function like ground units, except they have the ability to basically act as a group unto themselves, which is pretty interesting, and I still want to see that fully exploited. I'm still waiting to see that fully exploited. I think it's going to be pretty interesting, but still waiting on that. Garrison units represent multiple things. That's really a heading or a bucket, so to speak. That represents static military units, bases, paramilitaries, security forces, guerrillas, etc. Something to bear in mind. Garrison units do switch sides, so I guess they can switch sides any number of times through the game. So this is CA, a Central Asian, general or generic Central Asian. If the Russians somehow change control of Kulab city here, also a minor military base, it's flipped over to the Russian control side, which, by the way, I noticed right away. Oh, that's not a good example. I noticed that where's an example? Yeah, so I did notice they're not, while they have the different color coding on one side, so you have the Iranian garrison, and you flip it over to its NATO control side, you'll notice not the same strength, not the same combat strength. It's 2 on the Iranian side, 1 on the NATO controlled side. Again, those can, so really they're also defensive only. The strength in a circle means defense only. Can't use that in offense. I think the VP whole system counting points, you are totaling up the points for all these objectives. Are there a lot of objectives? I don't think there are a lot of objectives relative to, but I think all these things should be objectives, but in game terms it's a lot to keep track of. So you've got your military bases, both major and minor, your capitals, your energy points, your nuclear sites, your ports. Point being that maybe you want to use a scratch pad, or maybe make up your own markers and use them on the game tracks. I think there's a lot of VP counting